Today on the channel, just like a young Rody Piper, just when they think they got the answers, I changed the questions with the LJN Coliseum collection. George the Animal Steele, Rody Piper from Mattel.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another WWE Mattel Ultimate Edition unboxing and review. And today on the channel, from the LJN-inspired Coliseum collection, we got Rody Piper, we've got George the Animal Steele. But for all your Coliseum collection needs, make sure you're heading over to Mattel Creations. But for all your other wrestling figure needs, make sure you're hitting up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. Got to get a deal out there. And the Coliseum collection rides again, and I'm finally getting around to unboxing this one. Just kind of put it off to the side and finally getting around to it. There's been a lot of stuff lately, of course, but also, of course, we're going to do this unboxing like we do all the other unboxings on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging, we're going to talk about it, we're going to unbox it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to see where it goes from there. And of course, this is a Mattel Creations exclusive. Supposed to launch back in like September, October. It was delayed, and then they did launch it here in December, of course, 2023. Now, I'm okay with that because it sounded like they weren't ready to be shipped out. So nothing worse than, hey, I'll pay my money and I'll sit for two and a half months, something like that, then get the product. Instead, it was, hey, order it on the day in December. Guess what? It's coming in hot. And I ordered mine on a Monday, and it was in my house on a Thursday. So a pretty quick turnaround from the Mattel Creations Processing Distribution Center, whatever you want to call it. I ordered on Monday, got it on a Thursday, so that was a pretty quick turnaround. I'd rather have that than them sitting on my money for 2.5 months. I think most people share those same sentiments, of course. But we're no strangers to this Coliseum collection yet. We know all about this one. We've had a few different ones. We'll see where it goes into the future. We know the Hart Foundation is around the bend sometime next year. We'll see when that happens here. But let's dive into this one. Rody Piper, George Steele. An interesting mix, I guess, between these two. Personally, would have rather seen Macho Man and George Steele, maybe. Rody Piper maybe would have been better with a plain yellow Hulk Hogan. Kind of the basic bare bones Hogan, but you know, you give or take, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Who knows? Either way you go, there's always going to be somebody say, oh, you should have done this, should have done that. So I guess it's two LJN guys, so that is good. But we got the Hot Rod looking only like a Hot Rod could look. Ultimate Edition right there in the ring, of course. You got George the Animal Steele on this side. He's eating the turnbuckle. Oh, some delicious turnbuckle. You put a little bit of barbecue sauce on there. Oh, man, just some of the best eating you'll ever have. WWE logo right there. Ultimate Edition's on the side. Just when they think they got the answers, I changed the questions right up there. And then it does say mine. Oh, of course, his furry friend, as we do know. Adult collectors, of course. I believe we saw this for the first time at San Diego Comic-Con, if I am not mistaken. At least that's the first time we saw him in person, at least. But of course, I already got everything out of the pack here. We're going to go through this box. We're going to finish it off. There is a divider in between, a little background you can use for figure photography if you want to. Coliseum collection right there. Old school WWE, WWF, honestly, back in the day, kind of an announcer backdrop, so that is always cool to get with these. And then you do get a little crowd scene, old school LGN style right there. You got all kinds of signs, things like that. A beautiful box, definitely worth keeping, there's no doubt about it. You got Hot Rod, Time to Pay the Piper, Mine, all kinds of stuff going on in here. And they got a lot of friends and family from Mattel, I would imagine, in the crowd going on. So it is what it is as far as packaging department. Pretty good packaging. For the most part, we've seen that before. We'll see it again, I am sure. But now we got the Hot Rod, and we got George Steele out of the package here. And of course, once again, very familiar packaging design. Slip-away case, so we're going to go through it. I guess we'll start with George the Animal Steele. Why not? We'll start with George the Animal, and then we'll move our way into the Hot Rod, Rody Piper. George the Animal Steele looking only like a George the Animal Steele could look if he was in the Ultimate line. Can you believe that? An Ultimate George Steele. What a time to be alive. WWE, Coliseum Collection, Glamour Shot, some of that background. You get a little stand down here, but that also includes all of his accessories, as we do know. On the back, we got a little bit of a read there, and then, of course, the cross-sell down below, everything in the Coliseum Collection line. They are missing Sergeant Slaughter down here, though. That was the first one, technically, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so that is missing. But accessories include Rip Turnbuckle, Mine Doll, swappable head and hands, and a soft goods shirt. Coliseum Collection, Georgia Animal Steele is a wild beast-like man of few words and is famous for tearing open turnbuckle pads with his teeth. Steele, who is immensely strong and dangerous, can at times have a heart of gold. It is that unpredictable behavior that makes him one of the most feared men in the WWE. And remember, the Beast and the Beauty with Miss Elizabeth, of course, back in the day. But like we said, these pull right out very easily. Hungry for turnbuckles, an all-timer of a sign right there. But that does look good. Going to put that off to the side. Got this right here, a little plastic prison action. Oh, we got clip ties there. Like a young Todd McFarlane from the couch, we got clip ties on the arms. Not a bad thing, though, because now you know for sure that, hey, this has been opened, because with this resealable package like this, a lot of people could have these, play with them, do whatever, put it back in the package, and then say, oh, yeah, it's never been out of the package. Well, now you know if it's been out of the package or not. So, word to the wise there. Take note. Take note. There it is. Now I'm going to stick that right back in here like so. A gentle off to the side. See you later. There we go as we get down to business. Clip stripped style for Todd McFarlane, of course, on the couch per the norm. But now we get this little kind of stand here, little stage. We're going to pull all these accessories out, and there's a lot going on for old George Animal Steele. Looking good. Definitely want to save this off to the side. See you later. And we're going to get all this stuff out. So we do get a little turnbuckle, and it's in the old parchment paper like a young Hasbro over here. Definitely going to have this with George Steele, looking good. Bam! See you later off the screen. There it goes. And I guess we'll start with this one. It is an old school turnbuckle, nice soft feeling here. And then you got all that turnbuckle stuffing stuffed in here. You can pull that out. You can do whatever. You can eat it, of course. You can have it in his hands. You can do all that kind of stuff. A classic WWE-inspired logo right there on it as well. Nice soft material. Very, very good. Very on brand for George Animal Steele, as we do know as well. Eating those turnbuckles on a daily basis. Just loved a turnbuckle. It was just some of his favorite stuff. Some good eating, of course, as we do say. Now we do get that soft good shirt for George Steele. Very basic, but very memorable. That is the crazy thing. Black with the red on the collar. Of course, the bottom down there and on the arms. A very, very memorable shirt for whatever reason. It doesn't have all the branding. Doesn't have the hot rod on it. Things like that. But still, I see a shirt like this. I know it's George the Animal Steele. So it is pretty wild here. But we do a nice soft goods version here. So we do have that. Then we get a little plastic prison for his heads, the hands, the mind doll. We got all the fun going on with this one. So I'm going to pop all this out. There it is. I'm going to put this off to the side. See you later. A very gentle see you later once again. And I guess we'll start with this mind doll. Got to get the most out of your molds. And this isn't our first rodeo with George Animal Steele in the Mattel line. We had two prior Elites, basically the same figure re-released. But we do have both of those from the past. Both of those we will bring out here in a little bit. But this mind doll, same thing. We've seen this used before. Makes a lot of sense. Get the most out of your molds. It is iconic with George the Animal Steele, so bring it back out here, I say. It does have a green tongue, just like George Animal Steele. Got some articulation on the arms, none on the feet there. Yeah, none on the head either, but it is the mind doll for George Animal Steele. On brand, on point for George Steele. Extra hands here. We got two open hands here. He can wave to the crowd, do some of this kind of stuff. You know, he had all kinds of crazy positions he would put himself into. We got the two open hands. We've seen those before. Two gripping hands going on, looking really good there. And then we do get the two kind of splayed out, weird kind of George Steele hands. And I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I think these two hands are on George Steele the first time we've ever seen these two hands. I think that is the case here. So I'm here for that. That does look really cool. So that's the hands department. But now we got three heads to choose from. And you guys know the rule. You got to make them as different as you possibly can from the other ones. And I guess I'll pull these guys out right now just to have up here at the table. And I made them as different as I possibly could here. You got different reds a little bit on these two. One put a shirt on, one shirt off. We do have that going on, trying to make them as different as possible. We got heads here. We got a very, I think it's hard to say a stoic head with George the Animal Steele, because I don't think he ever has just a stoic head for the most part. But this one, he's looking a little side-eye. Once again, like a young Todd McFarlane toy. Side-eye over here. He's got the tongue sticking out. Of course, that tealish, greenish tongue. Looking good. Bald head throughout. Two eyes, two ears, and a nose like a normal human being. How about that? Shout out to George Animal Steele. The second head here, very interesting. He's got the tongue still showing, but it's kind of recessed back in his mouth a little bit. And he's got the side eye going on, just a bit open there. And then this third one, just the tongue's just peeking out. It's just peeking out a little bit. It's thinking about going full out, but it's just peeking out at this point. So to me, I'm going to stick with the stock head or possibly the kind of big open mouth head, I think. If I had to choose between the three, That's the way I'm going to go. But now we're going to dive into the figure here, and let's start it off with George Animal Steele. Of course, Ultimate Edition styling figure here. I guess let's walk through the articulation real quick. Let's start it off with a little articulation first. How about a little butterfly shoulder action? Of course, a bicep cut. Arms do go all the way around. Do got double jointed pinless elbows, playing all the hits right there. Those new hands we were talking about, side to side, back and forth. Actually, maybe they're not new hands. They might, are they like the Cameron Grimes hands we got where he held the money on that ringside collectible exclusive? I think those might be it, now that I think about that a little bit more. Head removable, back forth, side to side, of course. Hula hoop at the top, traditional waist. Big old George Steele splits if you do need them. Drop down hips as we're accustomed to with the Ultimate Editions. Got a thigh cut. Double jointed knees. They are not pinless knees, though, for those keeping track at home. Boot cut, ankles back forth, side to side. Barely. A little bit up and down, barely. And then you do get the Mattel toe articulation. Oh, excuse me, the McFarlane toe articulation, says Todd from the couch over there. Looking good, of course, though, at the end of the day. Now, he's got the black tights, got the red racing stripe down the end. You got the red boots going on as well. And then the big thing about George Animal Steele is, of course, the hair. And you got the painted-on chest hair, hair all over his body, his biceps, forearms, all kinds of stuff. Man, a hairy beast. That's why he's the animal. That's why he's George Steele, I guess, at the end of the day. But really would have liked to see Mattel really branch out, really take some chances. That's how you move the business forward, Mattel. You got to take chances from time to time. Why don't we have real chest hair on this George Animal Steele? Let's make him even more different than these two. Let's step out. It's ultimate. Let's make it the ultimate furry George Animal Steele. You're doing it with Mossman. Mossman over in the Masters line. Let's get George Steele with some real chest hair going on. Not in the cards, but we do know Jax did it back in the day. I always do love that figure. There's something special about that one, no doubt. But good amount of chest hair here. I don't know if this is just mine. As you guys know, I haven't seen any other reviews on this one. But I am missing a big spatch of chest hair right down here. Or I guess belly hair, technically, on this one. It's pretty bare in this corner here on the lower right side. So I don't know if everybody has that issue or if it's just mine. If they missed some paint here, I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. So that is a little bit interesting. I don't know. Is it supposed to be that way or not? There's a little bit of hair in there, but there's a big empty spots throughout. And by no means do I get the magnifying glass and go through George Animal Steele's chest hair and stuff. But his back hair on point. He is totally covered in the back hair department. There is hair upon hair upon hair. A lot going on with old George Animal Steele in the back right there, of course. But a good figure, one I would never guess for an Ultimate Edition line, but I don't think this would ever hit a mainline Ultimate Edition line. It's really perfect for one of these Mattel Creation ones, really, at the end of the day, no doubt about it. Now, does he fit on a ringside collectible stand? Use discount code Kyle, save 10%, of course, ringside collectible stands right there for your Mattel figures. Now, how different are we here? Oh, yeah, the heads are definitely different between these guys here, so there is definitely some changes going on. And, of course, all the bells and whistles of the articulation, stuff like that. So it definitely does look different, does feel different, and it depends. If you have these old ones, do you need the upgrade? It really is up to you, but I think it does look very well as far as the Ultimates go. And I guess I should bring out what it is actually based on, as we do know it is based on the LJN figures. And you know me, I'm an LJN kid from back in the day. So there is the George Animal Steele LJN figure. An all-timer, one a lot of people did have back in the day as well. And that's what this one is kind of based on. You can see some of that similarities. Not really a lot of similarities outside of kind of the stylized packaging, things like that. But George Steele, an all-timer, no doubt about it. Going to put him back over here. He's a big chunk of plastic, of course. Now we turn our attention to one of my all-time favorites, the Hot Rod Roddy Piper. Of course, part of the LJN line as well back in the day. And one of the LJNs I was missing as a little kid that I wanted so bad that I never got. Never saw him on the store pegs, anything like that. So really missed out on Rody Piper, which was really a big miss in my figure fed as a kid, I think. I think one of the biggest regrets of my figure fed. But you find what you find, you don't what you don't. And your parents will and grandparents will only buy you so much stuff anyways. It's the way it does go at the end of the day. But there he is, old Roddy Piper. And, of course, we'll compare him to his LJN as well. But there he is, old Hot Rod, looking only like he could look in the LJN Coliseum collection packaging. WWE logo right there. Beautiful glamour shot. Same kind of stand we saw with George Steele. There he is in all of his Hot Rod glory as well. On the back, we got the cross-sell down below. We got the blurb. Very LJN-inspired blurb, of course, backing. I remember cutting all those out as a kid, hanging all the posters in my room as a kid. Then the PWI, WWF magazines had all the posters covering my room when I was a kid. Accessories include kilt, soft goods shirt, microphone, swappable heads, swappable hands. Roddy Piper. Hot Rod does not take kindly to jokes about his kilt. In fact, Piper does not take kindly to anyone. He is the most vicious, treacherous man in the history of the WWE. His nasty jokes and mocking laughter fool no one in the WWE universe. Beware the Scotsman as he battles the best. How about that? How about that? Piper looking good. Got Hot Rod. Time to pay the Piper right there. Very cool packaging, as we do know. And we pull this out, and we pull this out. We're going to keep all this stuff, of course. You got to keep it. You got to save it. Roddy Piper, accessories included here. Don't throw this away, basically, at the end of the day, is what they're trying to tell you. And we won't, But let's pull all this out. Come on. Come on. There we go. Little accessory. Lost a hand, lost a microphone, but we do got the heads and all that in there, so we'll pop all that out. A lot of extra hands, more hands than George Steele, it looks like here, plus a microphone, so we're going to stick that off the side. See you later. Plastic prison for Piper. Of course, he's locked in like a young Todd McFarlane. That's what we got to do at the end of the day, apparently. Keep it all on lockdown. Keep it on lockdown. And will I cut my finger off unboxing a Roddy Piper? Wouldn't that be just majestic? Wouldn't that be majestic? But we're getting there. We're getting there. As we're doing this on Christmas Eve is when I'm filming this video. Oh, spending my Christmas Eve with the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. And he's so hard to get out of this. There we go. There's one. Is that everything? There we go. We got Piper out of there. A Christmas Eve surprise. Roddy Piper out of the package. Stick that off to the side. And let's get in. Let's dive in. Let's see what all the fuss is about. And we'll start with this microphone. Classic WWE microphone. WWF back in the day. Big old school mic. Looking good. Of course, on brand for this era of Roddy Piper. No doubt about it. We do get two gripping hands. Seen those before. Piper, he came to fight. He's got two fists of fury. He's ready to throw down at a moment's notice. Got two splayed out hands, very good for Roddy Piper. Of course, he's talking, he's telling everybody how it's going to be, using the hands there. And then once again, the finger pointing hands. He's going to poke somebody in the chest, probably. He's going to point somebody in the crowd. On brand once again for Roddy Piper. Of course, behind the microphone, really working the room, working the arena at the end of the day. So that looks good. Now we're going to dive into old Hot Rod here. We're going to dive into the figure, and we're going to start with the heads as we usually do. Very plain Jane stoic head. A little bit of a smirk, I guess we would say on this one. Looking like Roddy Piper, no doubt. And then we got this one, the second head here. It's just got a smirk. It's a closed mouth smirk. Not a big fan of the head sculpt on this one. The eyes are a little bit weird, and he's got just kind of a little sideways smirk going on. Same hairdo on both of these ones. One hairdo here my grandma would love. My grandma would be all about this hairdo on Roddy Piper. She'd say, that gentleman, he can come to my house anytime, is what she would say. And then the third head is probably the head I'm going to end up using. It feels a lot different, but you got Piper and his war cry. He's screaming, he's yelling, he's ready to take it to the streets if he needs to. That's probably my preferred head of the three here. So all three do look like Roddy Piper. It's just really at the end of the day, choose your own head adventure. Which one do you prefer? And I prefer the screaming one. So there you go. But now we dive into the old Hot Rod right here. Now we got the soft good shirt, soft good kilt, looking very nice. RP on the boots, the very kind of maroonish boots Piper had. He's got the blue knee pads going on in there as well. Got the white wrist tape. Talk about the Fists of Fury. Now, one thing a lot of people are complaining about right here is the Hot Rod shirt. Now, it does look really good. It is a very nice Hot Rod shirt, but it is missing the red around the collar, the red around the biceps. That is missing. So a lot of people worked up. What's going on here, Mattel? Well, once again, this is an LJN-inspired line. Now, this is where it gets a little bit of dirty pool going on here, I think, is what we got going on. From what I'm seeing just right now, putting 2-2 together here, we're going to talk about it. Now, I get why they did this, because I guess I'll grab it out right now. Here is the LJN Roddy Piper. Like I said, an iconic figure of all time, but notice his shirt. What is missing? We're missing it around the neck. We're missing it around the biceps. So we don't have that. And they're trying to make this here to make this feel like the LJN. You got to be accurate to those kind of details. Now, that leads me to believe, hey, let's get the most out of our molds. Let's make as much money as we possibly can. We'll re-release this Piper, same body, maybe a new head in there with the correct shirt, probably a different colored kilt. Got to get the most out of your molds. I think we will see that in the future. And guess what? They'll probably add some bagpipes to it as well. Make us buy multiple Ultimate Roddy Pipers. It is a business at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean you have to agree with the business. But I do understand what's going on here in the shirt department. However, this is where things really take a sideways turn here. And Mattel, you're on the clock. I don't know what's going on with this one. Now, Roddy Piper here, has, of course, red trunks underneath on his LJN. Well, what does this Piper have over here? He has blue trunks on under here. So you can't sit here and say, hey, the shirts, there's the reason. Here's the shirt. The LJN didn't have that shirt. Well, then the trunks do not match between these two. So you can't really use the shirt excuse here either. And that's a very easy one to add those onto the shirt. So I don't know. I really don't like how this was executed here. Hey, Mattel, I'm here for the journey with you. If you didn't put these on around the collar and around the biceps, I get it. I'm playing. But then you messed up the trunks on this one. So which one's the mess up? Are they both messes up? What's going on here? I just, that is unfortunate, I guess, at the end of the day is all I would say about that one there. But Piper looks good in the LJN. This one still looks good. It's just not quite the same thing. It's just not going to be quite the same LJN inspired. You can say all you want about the shirts, but then your trunks do not match. So where is it? Where's the answer lie? I'm not exactly sure. Now, we do got a belt here on Piper, and it's just a nice class belt. Sometimes these are a little harder to get, but I think this is the first time we've seen this belt, and this just reminds me of like Hulk Hogan or somebody undoing their belt and beating somebody with it all the time. Why is that not a disqualification in WCW back in the day? I don't know, but we do get this belt right here looking good, and of course we should have, yep, Velcro around the kilt. So Piper and his kilt, very iconic, of course, the plaid kilt. Everybody knows it with the old hot rod looking very, very good here. And then I'm going to pull his shirt off as well. We're going to see what's really going on with the hot rod here. We're going to do the reverse. We're going to pull that off. There it is, hot rod shirt down. And you got a plain Jane, old school Roddy Piper. Old school, I should say, WWF Roddy Piper. Blue trunks, blue knee pads, RP. Got the socks poking out as well. White wrist tape. Of course, articulation arms go all the way around. You do got the old butterfly shoulder. Bicep cut. Double jointed pinless elbows playing the hits there. Hands back, forth, side to side, removable. Head up, down, back, forth, side to side, removable. Waist articulation, hula hoop at the top. Big old Roddy Piper splits. You got the drop down hips as well, like a young G.I. Joe classified. Of course, the thigh cut. Double jointed, got pins in the knees though. Boot cut, and then ankles up and down, a little side to side. And then, of course, the McFarlane toe articulation looking pretty good right there. And, of course, does he fit on a Ringside Collectible stand? Use discount code Kyle at Ringside Collectibles, and he fits perfectly on a stand right there. A pretty cool looking Roddy Piper here. And I mentioned all the LJN comparisons and stuff. For a lot of people, that probably doesn't matter. They just want a Roddy Piper Old School Ultimate Edition, so that does work out. But it does look good for what it is. Very plain Jane, very basic in his wrestling gear, but guess what? That's how Roddy Piper was. Now, I would have loved to seen this one done as an Ultimate, and I mentioned probably getting this ran back, using all this kind of stuff, maybe a couple of different things, different kilt, different shirt going on, and bam, you got a new Ultimate Roddy Piper. Would not be shocked to see this entrance grate made as an Ultimate in the future. They already have the bagpipe mold right here. You can see it. It's with this entrance grate. They got the shirt. We've seen the shirt twice. We saw it in the Hall of Fame one with the Roddy Piper with long hair. We've seen this shirt before. I'm sure they'll give it some upgrades, things like that. Very easy to change the kilt up, and voila, you got a new Roddy Piper figure. So, got to get the most out of your molds. It is a business at the end of the day, but I can see some people maybe passing, waiting for that one, or when this one does finally come, they're going to say, oh, Mattel, you should have gave us that from the get-go. But once again, if they're trying to be LJN inspired, the bagpipes didn't come with the LJN, all that didn't happen. So, it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors is what I see with this one, which really takes away from this Piper because I would like to see it 100% accurate to the LJN. Now it'll always have a little asterisk next to it, at least for me. But George Steele, Roddy Piper, two very good figures here for what they are. Definitely a moment in time, bringing me back to my childhood, no doubt about it, with my old LJNs. Very, very cool. Probably prefer the Piper just a hair more because I'm a big Piper guy, but the George Steele, better than expected. Would have liked some real fur. I'm going to say that till I'm in my grave, I guess. And hopefully I'm not missing some paint on mine on the chest. Hopefully that's how everybody's is. But there's enough meat on the bone with George Steele to really mix him up and change him around and display him how you want to. Same thing could be said for Roddy Piper as well. So a good two-pack here. Bring on the Hart Foundation. That is next. I'm here for the Hart Foundation, one of my favorite tag teams from back in the day. So I look forward to that one. But what say you guys and gals out there in YouTube land? You picking up this two-pack, playing the long game, passing the no game? Let me know your thoughts on this two-pack in the comments down below. You made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bells. We got videos every single day. and then some. And of course, we got 2 YouTube channels now, and both those YouTube channels do flood over to the Patreon. Patreon members do get early access to both channels' videos, bonus contents, Q&A, giveaways, you name it, it's all going on over there, the old Patreon channel. Best way to support the channel. You can also support the channel, ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for the Hot Rod and George Animal Steele, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.